think it's called the Valley of Yellow Flowers in the UK.
I don't know what it's called. It's either
like
the Valley of Yellow Flowers, or the Collaborator.
Yeah, so the Collaborator in the US apparently.
Is that what they say?
According to IMDb, I checked it out. And it's like
you got more knowledge than I do about it.
Really? You were in it?
I know. I was in it, but when I got the film, it was called The Collaborator, and then when we did it, they changed
the name
it.
of the book. No, that's the name of the book, and then I think that it's got a few working titles because it's not come out yet, has it?
It's not come out yet. No, it's. I believe it's finished and it's due to come out at some point this year.
Right.
But yeah, I'm excited to see the finished product of that. Like for me, that's my best work that I've done. Like, you know, not to be like arrogant or anyway. Like it's just
you got to be proud of what you do.
So,
but I think it's just like the culmination of like it's been 8 years, and it's like now I got a part which, you know, I can really sink into, and it's like put everything that I've learned over my time being a professional actor, and like I really put a lot into it. Like I really bled for that film, and I'm looking forward to see it.
can you tell us what the film's about?
Yeah, like let's give it a background.
Yeah. So basically, it's set in, I believe, 1970s or 1980s Kashmir, and there's obviously like a lot of conflict still now in Kashmir between India and Pakistan, and it's kind of set not so much around the conflict, more around, as I was kind of saying before, like the individual stories of these 4 young boys who are there in the middle of this thing and are thinking of, you know, what am I going to do with my life?
Yeah, like from a village, isn't it?
Yeah, from a village. Like they all have these dreams and ambitions and hopes of like what they want to do, and then obviously this whole conflict comes in and changes that, and you know it kind of follows like, you know, what does that do to a person?
Yeah.
And it was cool for me because like I got like my character. Originally, I went for the main character.
Of course.
I went for. Funnily enough, I went for all 4 of the main characters because they
shoot your shot, mate. I mean, you might as well shoot multiple. Like if you don't go high, you don't go. You know, get it.
Exactly, right.
I mean, at least your name was on their list every time. It was like, oh, this guy. Just give him a part, otherwise it won't go away.
Yeah, it was a long process, man. It was like 2 years or something.
2
like,
years of auditioning.
Well, not really auditioning. It was like I got contacted like 2 years before the film, just that there was a film and they were interested in me. And I was like, okay,
yeah, fantastic.
Like, well, okay, but I also was like, that's nothing really. It doesn't. You don't really even believe it. And then it's like they kept messaging. I was like, okay, this is something, but and then finally, like after a year, like they got funding and they were, you know, ready to start casting. And I did a tape for all 4 characters, and then heard nothing for 6 months.
6 months.
Yeah.
What the fuck are you going to do in 6 months? Like in 6 months, you can go get like, you know, well, ideally you get a new job, and then like, you know, like but like I mean, you'd move on, wouldn't you? I mean, like, you know, like
I mean, I think in a way, like you can't. I suppose it would be for a lot of creative industries, but definitely for sure with acting, like you can't really treat it the same way that you would like normal employment. You know, I think if you as soon as you start thinking that this is a sure thing, that I'm guaranteeing this for my income, then it's done.
You're gonna be screwed,
you know.
Yeah, it's a bit like telling people about your plans.
There's also like a passion element for you, right? As well, like you want to do this as well. You want. It's not just that I want the money and I want this job, but you want to actually do this role.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you applied for all 4. I mean, like, he's definitely eager. You know, like can't fault the man on enthusiasm.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great script, and like, you know, obviously I wanted to go for the main part because it's probably the most emotional. And if I'm being completely honest with you, I don't know if I could have done that main part. I definitely don't think I could have done it the way that Nikhil, who did play it, did it. And I don't know, that was Nikhil's first ever film.
Holy shit.
And he killed it in that.
Wow.
Like, and it was great to work with him. Like, because he gave a lot.
Nikhil who? Sorry.
Nikhil Singh Rai is
where's
the
he from?
name.
Is he from England? Was everyone from England?
So
like,
in this film,
it's set in Kashmir, and you know, like, which is like, you know, India, Pakistan, and like. So I mean, like, you know, I've got the synopsis here, but it's like, I think, you know, just to summarize for everyone, it was it's about these kids, and then they get taken from the village, and you know, all of them go off to war except for this one guy, presumably Nikhil's character. What's his name?
In the film,
yeah,
it's actually just called the boy. He doesn't have a name.
Oh, yeah,
he doesn't have a name. Yeah.
And so he's like there, and then what I think from the synopsis of the book, at least, I downloaded that, and it says that from there he's then suddenly recruited by the Indian Army, even though the others went off to fight for Pakistan, and he's got to go through the field, through the Valley of Yellow Flowers, which is in Kashmir, and identify the bodies that are in there because after the battle. So, like, what was it? Were you actually in Kashmir when you filmed, or was it?
No.
Where was it filmed?
It was filmed in Georgia.
In Georgia?
Yeah.
Not bad.
Not Atlanta, Georgia, like not America, Georgia.
As in,
the country.
Why Georgia not?
I feel like there'd be very different places.
Yeah, it'd be quite easy to get across to. I mean, surely India would be almost cheaper anyway.
I think
on the whole,
there was troubles to actually film in.
I can actually imagine.
Probably a bit of a risky place to film as well.
I just asked a quick question. Kashmir goes across both borders, right?
It does, yeah.
That's where the attention is.
Yeah. And I mean, to be honest, I don't think it's. I mean, from what I understand, it's safe to go there because a lot of the team was there, like gathering like research and stuff. I think the issue was to actually film there.
Yeah.
I actually wanted to go to Kashmir to for research purposes. But funnily enough, even though like as I was saying, the whole process, like I was in the mix for 2 years. Like it was a month before filming when I actually got confirmed, and I was going for like 2 months. I had to.
So you were filming for 2 months out there? Or...
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
What was that like?
Honestly, really cool, really fun, really hard. You know, I won't lie. I actually had to come back in the middle because like I was finding it way too tough. Really? Like there was a week where I didn't have any scenes to do, and like originally my plan was like to stay and like do a bit of traveling, like go to some of the other places in Georgia because we were mainly staying. Like it's a really beautiful place. Like honestly, I would recommend anyone to go to Georgia. It's like
always a place you least expect, isn't it? It's like
right?
I was in Romania recently, and I would never have thought to go there before, but absolutely gorgeous place. Absolutely
I can imagine. I think a lot of Eastern Europe is very like. People don't really think it's going to be that great, but it's beautiful, man.
Absolutely gorgeous.
Like it's and that was one thing I loved about Georgia. It was like, and when we first went, the first week was just in the mountains, and it was crazy because there was like barely any signals. It was almost like going back in time.
You like living in a tent, or
not quite? It was very different from when we were living in the city. I'll tell you that. And like, no one really speaks English in those villages. Wow. And there's only really like one store. Like there's no restaurants. Every night before we would film, we'd go to like a restaurant, which was really just like one of the locals' house. Yeah, literally. And it was like the same food every day, which I actually really liked it. Like
what kind of food did they eat?
It's like I don't even know how you describe it, but
is it like quite hearty, or is it sort of like curry, or is it like
kind of a mix of both? So like I'll tell you, like the main dish is this thing called khachapuri, which is sort of like pizza. It's like a flatbread with cheese, but it's like Georgian cheese, so it's slightly more stronger. Like I don't know, you guys might not like it. Or... Salty, I think. Yeah. I loved it, but a lot of the other crew, I don't want to name and shame anyone, but a lot of them didn't like the Georgian food. I think it's more like because we happen to have it every day, and like
it does get a bit boring after a little while, don't it, I guess.
Yeah, and to be honest, I was kind of bored of it. Like after having the same thing every day, like I was glad when we got on set, and then we had catering, which is like completely different stuff. That was really nice. But I love Georgian food, and like I've been craving it since. Apparently there's a couple of Georgian restaurants like in London that I need to check out.
I know you like to cook, and it's like have you ever tried to recreate it at all?
I've never tried. I don't think.
Should give it a go.
I could try. I don't know.
Come on, you should.
I don't know.
There's got to be a recipe out there somewhere. Like
probably could, but
if you like kind of like look through Google and like sort of put it in Georgian first, like what it is, and then see what if you get yourself a good recipe in Georgian, then just translate.
That's
that
true.
again.
That's true. I asked one of my. I have many friends in Georgia now.
Oh,
you know,
get them to send you the mum's recipes. Man.
Yeah, I got to do that. You're absolutely right.
That's the best one.
So back to your character, like, is it like a main role or like co-starring?
Yeah, it's a co-starring role, and it's the biggest role that I have ever done.
Okay,
you know, I've done quite a few films, always as like a very small character. You know, I guess the first film I did, which was a film called Sea of Tiny Lights, like it was fairly a big part. I was playing the younger version of the main character.
We watched the trailer.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
So that was like, and that was always my first experience. So it was like very new to me. And since then, yeah, to be honest, I won't lie to you. Like after that, it feels like everything I've done has it almost feels like, yeah, I've almost stepped, in a way, it's like, oh, I couldn't compete with the first thing I did, you know, because everything I did after that has been very like minor parts, and that's very natural in acting careers. Like, unless you really like have a big break, like a Tom Holland, and you get Spider-Man, like you can be the lead and the co-lead and like the nothing so the next day.
You know, get all those sort of like, you see those old movies and you see people who are like mega stars now, but before they were famous, and you're like, you know, I think Michael Fassbender, he was like a minor part in 300 or something, and then like 2 years later, he's like one of the he's the one who tells, he's the one who chops the guy's arm off.
I don't remember the film. Well, I feel like there must have been a lot of people.
Yeah, but like
I don't remember that film.
He's in like Inglourious Basterds, and he's absolutely smashing out.
I love that film.
Love that film. I mean, his dialogue is absolutely on point. But like, how do you feel like, you know, like, so when you're in Georgia and you're filming everything, and it's like, what was that process like? I mean, like, you know, was it sort of like, you know, you knew your lines and everyone's like playing off each other? What was the part of the story that resonated with you the most? Sorry, that's such a cliche, is it? Is that too cliche? I don't know.
I don't know.
What was the part of the story? What was the part of the experience that you loved the most, apart from the food, of course?
The part of the experience I loved the most was definitely the people. Yeah. Like, I think that's what made it, you know. Me and the other three castmates, the other three boys, they're called the Famous Four. And it's basically Nikhil's character, the boy, and his three friends. They're like a gang of kids, and it follows them. And yeah, we developed that bond of like, you know, the actual characters, and we lived together pretty much. Like we lived next to each other in the same room.
Like method acting. You know, it's just like my brothers, and there's you guys. Like, yeah, we know each other a month, but you know what? I like these.
I mean,
let me understand the premise of the film. So you are like, you start off as friends, and then you end up in separate armies, and then that's where you have a conflict with each other.
Not quite. I mean, the conflict really lies in the fact that one by one, each of the friends and pretty much everyone in this village is going across and joining the camps. And as you alluded to in the book, it pretty much entirely follows the boy being the last person there. I think the reason why they maybe called it the Valley of Yellow Flowers is because it's the first chapter. And
the book's by Mirza Waheed.
Yeah. And yeah, it's a really
true story, right?
It's a true story based on his life. Yeah, so he is the boy. So, you know, we would say sometimes we call him Mirza, like when we're filming, because obviously it's a bit, when you're trying to actually be the character, it's kind of like, oh, the boy.
Was he there for the filming, and like, you know,
he wasn't there for the filming,
or was it like sort of more like sort of like, you know, hands? Sorry, he wasn't there then.
No,
was he involved in the script at all?
Yeah, he was involved. I believe in the beginning of the script, obviously, and I think obviously by the time, for most films, unless it's like a big writer, by the time it gets to the screen, or by the time it gets to on set, the writer of the book is generally not involved, because that's like quite further detached. Furthermore, you don't usually have the writer of the script.
Yeah, normally buy it off of the person, right? Normally.
Yeah, but from what I understand, Mirza was involved in the early drafts, and the way I would, because I read the book obviously, and like the way I would describe the film is it's actually, it's not even the entire book. It's more like it explores more the first part of the book. It
doesn't go into the part about him going and identifying the bodies yet.
It does, right. But that's...
So I thought that was kind of the point of dramatic tension, where it's like, you know, the Indians force him into the valley, and it's like, yeah, and he has to go around trying to look for his friends, kind of thing. Or
okay, maybe I actually misspoke. It's been a long time since I forgot. It does include that. But I guess what I'm saying is, in the book, the sort of preamble is a way minor part, right? Whereas in here, that's like
it's a big part. I mean, it's kind of like a world building exercise, isn't it? I guess in film that's quite different to sort of books, where it's like, you know, like you could just say in the valley of, you know, like wherever, and then people just give it a quick Google, like, oh yeah, that place. Yeah. Go on. Sorry,
but that was actually funny enough. I think that's one reason why I'm not sure if it's called the Valley of Yellow Flowers, because I left 1 week before the last week of filming, when it was literally just Nikhil. So this is the part basically that we're talking about, where he's in the Valley of Yellow Flowers, and that was some method acting shit, because he was literally there on his own, and I felt so bad for him. And also, that's
like the baddie wasn't there, or does it not have a baddie?
It does, but for that week of filming, there was no one else. It was literally, so you have a call sheet usually every day, which gives you like all the cast, all the crew who's on today, and we were still getting the call sheets, and it was like just Nikhil on his own.
Everyone else was sitting there like, all right, fuck you then.
Yeah, because we'd all gone back to the UK and back to our lives, you know. And he was just there, and they moved to a different mountains, and it was like super cold. Oof. And he was just there, like really living it on his own. Like he literally lost all his. Because remember, I told you we built this friendship.
Oh,
you know,
he literally had lots of friends,
and then we left.
Just comes home like.
So I don't know what was. I haven't seen that, right?
No,
but I'd imagine that's some incredible stuff. Being on that film, I feel like it was very interesting because there was the Georgian culture which we're actually living in. Yeah, and it's like okay, we learned Georgian. You kind of have to learn a little bit of Georgian, and I think I like to learn like a little bit of the language whenever I go to a place, right? I mean, you went to Malaysia, right? Did you learn?
Yeah, Bahasa. And I mean, the only Malaysian that I actually learned was Adam Chakabanya, which means Adams talks too much. Because we did like these Malaysian lessons and stuff, and it was like and there was one kid who knew it fluently, and he was a teacher's favorite, and she was like Adam Chakabanya. It's all I could remember, and it was a while ago, but still like talking like almost 20 years ago. But it was like, oh god, I'm old. I'm old. It was it's weird the bits that you still remember. Yeah, but like,
why do you think that's the one that you remember?
Oh, just because the context. I think it's because I think it's because it had like a bit more motion to it than the flashcards and stuff, and there were people interacting, and you could kind of like. I think if you use a language, like for example, when I went to Romania recently, I didn't know anything going out there. I did a few Duolingos and that, and obviously my girlfriend taught me a few, but it was. Yeah, I mean, like being out there and actually having to use it in an environment in which people don't really speak English. Most of them do, but you still want to make the effort. Otherwise, as you say, it's just polite, really. And it's like,
exactly right.
It's like, and I think that when people are speaking your language, everyone will be. I think it's a very silly thing of us Brits. I think Americans as well, that we assume the world speaks English, but actually, if they're making an effort to speak your language, the least you can do is shut up and listen and not criticize and just be like, try and understand and then try and speak some of theirs back. And I always taught my students that as well, was like, remember that you're the one making 90% of the effort, never apologize for being, for bad English. It's like, well, how's their Indonesian, how's their Malaysian, how's their whatever.
It's actually incredible the amount of countries you go to and they can speak English. I remember
you take it for granted.
I remember being in Belgium and this guy started speaking to me in French and I'm like, English, and then he just switched to English and I'm like,
wait, you just ordered it like English?
Yeah. I mean, he panicked. He's just like, English! Just sit there.
But the way I said that, and I thought like, how dare I do that?
And then you feel all awkward. You're like, I'm ever so sorry. It's just that I'm actually ignorant, and But although my girlfriend, her parents don't speak any English, so we had a great time with Google Translate. It's so good. We're just passing the phone to each other. But we only realised we could do that on like day 3, and by then she was already teaching me like. But we just got on really, really well because obviously you got that communication through body language. It's quite obvious what people want, and and you have a laugh together. But
do you speak a bit of Romanian now?
Very little. I think I know Ciobesc, which means I love you.
That's an important one to know if you're dating a Romanian guy.
It means give me a kiss.
What was it?
Sarutma.
Sarutma.
I think I get that wrong every time, but she'll correct me.
But this is something I've been thinking about a lot. As like English people and I guess American people and anyone who has English as a first language is kind of just dumber than most of the world, because if you think about it, that is like a different, I don't know the science, but it's some sort of different neural pathway in your head, right?
They say your personality changed when you switch languages. So I reckon I speak German, well, it's not that great anymore, but you speak fluent
quite well.
Yeah, I get by. Yeah, no, you saw me because we were drunk. It's like when you're drunk, you can speak it so much easier.
Other than night out, other than night out with him, and he was speaking to these German people. I was just like,
and there's me just like going.
Did you learn to speak German?
They end up They were doing shots, and they kept buying me them because they was like, oh, an English guy, and I was like, yeah. Met their stag. I think I completely forgot about our stag do.
Germans speak really good English, by the way.
Oh, they do, they're absolutely on point. But the worst bit is, though, when you go over there, you try and speak German, they always turn around in perfect English. You're like, it's not the point. I'm here to learn your language.
Yeah, but I feel like that's everywhere you go.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, sometimes some people. I remember I went to this corner shop in Portugal, and I was trying to speak it, and he could tell that I wasn't obviously perfect. And he was like, and then I just retreated to English. He was like, we can continue in Portuguese if you want. I was like, oh, thank you, man.
Oh, bless.
Because I think most people just don't have the patience, which is fair enough. Because, like, you've got stuff to do.
I think it's that instinct to help people when you think they're struggling, but actually they're not. They're trying to learn, and it's like, you've got to just try and be patient with it. But yeah, I mean, as a teacher, I just found that like sometimes it is a bit frustrating when it's like you can see the time ticking down for the lesson, and you're like, come on, and by after about 20 seconds, you're like, just give me the answer. But no, I mean, most of my kids were geniuses, so yeah.
Is that because of you? You made them geniuses?
No, they're perfectly clever. I mean, they knew their shit. I mean, they had like 17 exams. Half of them were passing out in my classes. They were under so much pressure. It was unreal. And like, by the end of it, I was just like, all right, you can have a nap, you can have a nap, you can have a nap. The rest of you, though, like, didn't do no learning this week.
Yeah.
So here we go.
No naps was the punishment.
Oh no! No, I used to use a tennis ball actually, just throw it at them, and sometimes maybe
I see why you're not a teacher in this country.
Yeah, for real, right?
Oh no,
that would not run.
No, if they were asleep, it would be like, I'd just kind of sneak up behind them and just be like,
"What's your punishment, Liz? I beat them. I got a stick. I beat them with."
Yeah, exactly. It's like me with my javelin, like fuck you. I said verb, go. No, but actually, I used to use.
Imagine him in an interview in this country. Like, how would you discipline a student that's not listening? I beat him with a stick.
It's like 4.
I feel like back in the day in England, that was very normal.
That was very normal.
I remember. Did you not have Victorian Day?
Jesus, yeah, they'd just like go around caning everybody.
But in my school, you must have, because we went to school in the same area. Victorian Day, when the teachers would pretend to be.